Tonight, police in Lancaster, Texas have identified a possible suspect. Investigators say pointed a gun at a passing car.
Good morning. It is the 28th day of December. This is our regularly scheduled situational security broadcast right here on the Hart of America Radio Network. We are joined today with our resident cybersecurity expert, JT Tolly Williams. He is with LibertyOneTech.com. This program is brought to you in part by Liberty One Tech. You can visit them at LibertyOneTech.com and save 15% on Talk Text Plus when you mention Heart of America or the Situational Security broadcast. We are absolutely eaten up with news and information for you today as we are taking on cybersecurity, primarily because of the holiday season. Now, for those of you that are not aware, the Friday edition of this program is always dedicated to keeping us safe and secure, whether or not it's online or if it's in an active shooter situation, urban bug out prepping. It doesn't matter what it is, ways to keep your personal information safe, to not be hacked. I mean, the list is virtually endless. What to do in the case of a carjacking, or if you even witness a carjacking, or any number of events. So each and every Friday, we invite you to pop by, to join in and hang out with us as, of course, situational security as part of the Heart of America Talk Radio Network and the Unknown America Project are all, well, they're all sisters and brothers of one another, but they are all can be found at Hart, H-A-R-T, heartofamerica.net for all of your listening pleasure. So there's been an awful lot in the news, of course, over the years. We've got hackings and online scams. And just a couple of days ago, the wife's daughter contacted us to let us know that one of her cards had been rejected for a purchase, and came to find out she, too, had been a victim of online scams and information. We all are the recipients of these phishing attacks. That's with a PH, these phishing attacks that take place. So many other ways to scam our personal information. We'll be talking about that. The role of the credit bureaus in the United States, how to remain safe and secure online, what to do if you have been hacked, and so many other things, again, with our resident expert, Tolly Williams of LibertyOneTech.com. And we welcome Tolly into this edition of the Situational Security edition of heartofamerica.net. Good morning, Tolly. How are you?
Good morning, Michael. I'm terrified. No, actually, I'm great because I know the digital security stuff, and if anyone is terrified, I hope I can make them not be terrified. And if they're not terrified, they should be terrified. So, honestly, I have no clue if you should be terrified or not at this point.
Well, no, I completely agree with that because despite how loopy it was, because, you know, the reality of it is we run into these things all the time. And, you know, what's interesting is that, you know, this program, as you're well aware, and I think all media is moving in this direction and will all be fully transitioned probably in the next 3 to 4 years, but everything's moving over towards the internet. Now, you've got 100 times more internet experience than I do, but even in the couple of 3 months that we've been doing the online version of the program, I am absolutely mesmerized by what can be done on the internet and what has been done for this program behind the scenes that I did not even know was possible. With that said, I don't think the average internet layperson, such as myself, fully understands the threat and how extensive it can actually be and what kind of damage to our finances and our reputation it can cause. Let's talk a little bit about that, and then we'll get into some of the solutions as well.
I appreciate it. First, I'm going to do something. I haven't tested this yet, but I think it'll work. Speaking of, thank you for the kind words, by the way. A very important. Alexa, what time is the Auburn game today?
The Auburn Tigers football team will play later today at 12:30 p.m. in Nashville.
Well, there you go. All right. It is 12 o'clock, Mike, when they play.
Well, I stand corrected on that, Tolly, and I appreciate that heads up.
You know, just one of those things that's pretty cool is we have these smart devices in everyone's home. Are they spying on you? Are they listening in on you? You know, how can you keep safe while using them? I do have a Amazon Echo in every room, a Google Home in a couple of different rooms. I do use these things. I do want to keep people reminding that every time you talk to a digital assistant, your voice is going out to Apple, to Amazon, or some third party hired to do the translations. Should that concern you, I'll bring that up later. I'm going to tease that a little bit. Right now, I like to talk about, let's start with buying safe online, keeping your credit card data safe. Speaking of Amazon, their Echo, you've probably shopped online. You know Amazon is safe. eBay, Overstock, Target, Walmart, wherever you shop. As long as you're shopping there, you're pretty well safe. But if you venture off to other websites, you give out your information to them. It's kind of like rolling the dice every time you get out there. Every time you roll the dice, you could land on the snake eyes or whatever it is that you don't want to land on. And that website you go to, like another one is Etsy. That's a legitimate website, Etsy. But let's say you go on othergirlscrafts.com, where women have made these little trinkets and stuff, and they seem cute. Well, that woman who made that trinket could be a hacker in his mother's basement making money for his pizza habit. So try to stick to the main sites that you've heard advertised: Amazon, eBay, Overstock, Target, Walmart. Etsy is fine. Those, when they go to your website, heartofamerica.net, although it's not a main website for e-commerce, it takes you to a very trusted site, PayPal, to pay. That's another thing you can do is try to use services like Apple Pay or PayPal or Google Wallet when you pay online. So that way, if you are using a third-party site to sign up for a service or to buy your book, Find on America, something like that, then you know at least where your data for the money is going. Maybe not your entire data, but your financial data is going to a trusted third party that you're aware of, like Apple Pay or PayPal. And PayPal is preferable to giving out your credit card to a random website. But there's a really, really cool thing that is kind of new out there. I use it. I love it. And it's going to sound like an ad. Full disclosure, if you use this sign-up link, libertyoneTech.com/privacy, Privacy, privacy, I'll give you $5 for signing up, and I also get $5. So it's kind of a win-win situation. But I would recommend it if that didn't exist at all, because it lets you create a unique credit card number for each merchant you go to. And that unique credit card number stays tied to the merchant, and it can't be used elsewhere if it's stolen. So it also lets you set a monthly maximum.
So in other words,
a one-time use. Is
it kind of like forwarding on your phone, where you're dialing one number, but it's actually forwarding to a second number? So the individual credit card number itself is tied to the real credit card number, but nobody knows that.
Yes, that's a good analogy, and so you can use this one-time use credit card number for a merchant. Like, say you're signing up for Netflix, and Netflix raises their price every once in a while, and you set a monthly limit of $13 for Netflix, and Netflix increases their price to $15. Well, that $15 charge will get declined because you said, no, this is only go to Netflix. It shouldn't have more than $13 a month on there. Well, you can go into your website. It's very easy. Just click on the little arrow and drag the bar up, and it'll go from $13 to $15. So you can set an allowance for the merchants per merchant per card number. It's really cool. You can even pause the card. You can just say, let's not trust these guys for a while. Let's pause it. Gosh, I can't believe I want to admit this, but I signed up for the New York Times. I know. I'm paid the liberals money for news reporting. I used a privacy number for the New York Times because right now I'm getting it for $4 a month. But in a year, that will change to like $20 a month. Well, right. I don't want to pay $20 a month for that. So I set up a $5 a month limit on the card I use through privacy for the New York Times. So when that extra price jump happens, it won't hit me. If I forget to go in and cancel my account after 12 months, doesn't matter. It's already taken care of. So privacy is a great solution for providing a limit to what merchants can use. And also, if your data is stolen, which we'll talk about in a second because it probably will be stolen, if your data, so it can't be used elsewhere. So it's tied to the merchant. And again, I'll give you $5 for signing up Liberty One Tech. That's the number one, libertyoneTech.com /privacy. And if you see a fraudulent transaction on your credit card, whoever you use, you should always use text message alerts and push notifications so you see instantly where the money is coming from and where it's going to immediately. And if you ever see a fraudulent transaction, immediately report to your credit card company. Thankfully, almost everyone out there has $0 liability on fraud transactions. So as long as you can prove the transaction's fraud, usually like, oh, hey, it went to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Yeah, that's fraud. I've been there too. I've had $32,000 withdrawn from an account that had $100 in it from, some guy in Riyadh. It'll happen to everyone at some point in time. Most of them have $0 liabilities. So if you don't have a $0 liability from your bank, so you're using a very small credit union or something, the federal law sets the maximum liability at $50. So always tell them, and they'll get you straightened out. But we're living in an age. The reason you need unique credit card numbers, or to use PayPal, or to use Google Wallet, we're living in an age when it's not about keeping your information private. That's impossible. You just can't. It's not going to happen. It's about limiting the damage done when it gets leaked. And so, for instance, a unique credit card that's tied to one merchant specifically, say that's Verizon, you don't want to get hidden fees or charges. But also if it's stolen from Verizon. Or a better example is actually Target. Do you remember when Target revealed that their credit card processing was actually breached and every credit card swipe was what we call being skimmed?
Right.
There were over 800 data breaches in 2018 alone, over 800 data breaches. So it's not a matter, you cannot keep your data safe. It's a matter of mitigating damage. So if you had used that privacy number at Target, a one-time use, that's useless to the thief. But if you just use your regular credit card, it's sitting out there in the dark web waiting for someone to buy this bulk pool of stolen credit cards, and they'll go through it, and then frankly it gets spread around using the free market quite like a market would do. They take it in bulk.
If you don't mind, let me stop you right there, because you said something that I hope that everybody picked up on, because I think there's this notion that I'm locking my cyber doors, that I've got great passwords, that I only do business with reputable online buyers. I've created this firewall, if you will, or border wall around all my transactions online, so I can't be hit. But you made a comment about the dark web that I don't think a lot of people realize, is that they might not be coming after you specifically, but your information is oftentimes getting swept up in some kind of massive harvesting of data. And, and that they've got these, and I'm not going to use the technical terms, I won't get it right, but these widgets and these bots and these computer trolls and whatever that pick up this stuff, and it's all automated. So your best efforts can always be, usurped by the technology of harvesting. And I think a lot of people fall victim to the belief that they put all these parental controls and financial controls and great passwords with all these different characters to protect their personal information. But, these bots move, and it was such intensity and such accelerated motions that they can overcome that in time, and your stuff just gets swept up, just like, wheat getting harvested in a field.
Exactly. And the truth is like I said, it's not will it. It will happen. It will definitely happen. And it's a matter of mitigating the damage done when it gets out there. I mean, not only did Target announce that all their credit cards were stolen from their swipers because some guy had installed a virus on a server that allowed it to be what we call skimmed, but there were over 10 million private medical records breached in 2018. And if you look back at the last year and a half, between Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, the major credit reporting bureaus, they've had basically the entire country, at least by my count, 150 million records leaked online because of their failures at cybersecurity. There was a time, a day and age, where your Social Security number couldn't do anything. So you could give it out on the radio, and it was only tied to your Social Security benefits, and that was it. And you would walk up to someone and hand them an ID card or something and sign a book, and you got your Social Security benefits. And then it became your government-issued ID. And suddenly we had to guard and keep that number secret and safe because speaking of which, I'm getting a robocall right now. They sent me a voicemail. If you if you gave out your Social Security number, well, that's tied to, well, if he knows his Social Security number, it must be real and valid. Well, now it's back full circle where your Social Security number is out there to be stolen anyways. You got to keep it private and safe, and you should, but you can't trust it. You can't for a second, not for a minute, think that it's private or safe. We have to develop new and better forms of identity confirmation so that we can understand, if we're actually dealing with the right people and how to protect and guard our data. Let's go back to Experian and Equifax and TransUnion. I called them credit monitoring. I guess that's what they want to be called. But I don't like the word agency because it sounds like it's a government organization. They're not. They're private businesses. And let's talk about how they make their money. If we're real about it, they make their money by cyber stalking individuals and bulk harvesting all their personal information. And then what? If that wasn't bad enough, then they assign them to financial classes, the bourgeoisie, the have-nots, and the haves. They assign those financial classes based on stereotypes. And the thing is, when they misbehave or leak your personal information online, they've got insurance companies backing them up, and they just pay them off. They don't ever fix their cybersecurity. That's one of the reasons we saw this year, thankfully. I mean, I'm a libertarian, you know this, so I believe in the fewer laws, the better. But as long as we have these highly regulated markets, let's at least be smart about it. So this year, because of Experian and Equifax leaking tons of data online, I guess they ticked off some, the senders finally, the federal government, it used to cost $30 to put a freeze on your credit, to freeze it or to thaw it. They made money off that too. So if you were worried about them giving away your information online, they would still make money off you trying to protect it. So now you can put a freeze on your credit for free, thanks to a federal regulation that went into effect, I think, in September. The law was passed in May. It was spearheaded by a senator from Idaho. And if you use a phone or online app, you may not know this, you can unfreeze or thaw your credit report and they have to unfreeze it within an hour. So if you're going to go out to, your nearby Best Buy store to buy a big computer purchase for the holidays or something, and you want to finance it, you can call in advance, say unfreeze my credit, go make the purchase, and then call right back and freeze it again. And they have to unfreeze it within an hour of you calling them or using an online app to do that. It's not as inconvenient as it used to be. And a credit freeze, don't forget, that's higher security. What a lot of people do is what they call a fraud alert. You would think with the word fraud alert, it would sound like that would be the highest security level. It's really not, though. A freeze is higher because it actually stops the information from being spread. This is not well known. A fraud alert, all it's really doing is it's asking the people trying to get credit for you to say, can you use some extra validity to verify their identity? Can you get their phone number too? So a fraud alert is not that good. A credit freeze is good. And again, they used to charge you for that privilege, but because they've messed up so many times now, the federal government said, hey, look, you're going to have to offer that for free. In addition to freezing your credit report, you should also monitor your credit regularly with services like Credit Karma. And again, Credit Karma is going to take your data too. Everyone's got the data, but the point is that data is already out there. It's been compromised in one way or another, so it's a matter of managing it using legitimate services like Credit Karma. And,
what do we say, Tolly, to these people that, well, this is why I don't have a Twitter account. This is why I don't use Facebook. This is why I don't buy things online, just so I can avoid all of these headaches and problems. But they're not as safe and secure as they think they are now, are they?
No, and their information's out there too. Because when Aunt Sally takes a quiz on Facebook telling her favorite, color is blue and her favorite animal is a dog, that the permission she gave that app on Facebook allowed it to harvest information, and not just about her, but her relatives as well. And Aunt Sally may have put in a photo one day, hey, this is my cousin Phil. So Phil's information's out there. And if it's not Facebook, it's somewhere else. I mean, your information is out there. Have you voted? Have you registered for own voting? The government leaked the information of everyone who had voted online. And normally you can get that as public record, but it costs money, and so it's hard to get in one place at one location. But hacker went in and got all the information because they had poor computer security on their voting records. Imagine that. And leaked it out there. So anyone who's ever voted in their life is out there. In fact, our government is so incompetent. I almost gleaned over this. The SF-85 and SF-86, if Jim or anyone out there in the military is listening, they know that those are tell us all your secrets documents. Those are the documents where you have to fill out everything about yourself that could be potentially embarrassing. Also, all your financial and all that stuff as well. And they're like, they should be very well guarded. But our great and wise federal government didn't even encrypt them when they stored them. And so we now know that the Chinese government has access to them. So even the things that the government have you fill out to make sure that you get clearance, all the private information you give the U.S. government to make sure you can get clearance, well, the Chinese government has as well, probably Russia, and whoever else could hack us. Your information's out there. If it's not given by you, by someone else, if you don't have a website, where you show up as the number one result, guess what? When someone Googles you, you don't have a say in what they find. I always tell people, why do you need a website if you're not a business? Well, do you ever Google someone to learn more about them? Of course you have. My wife thinks she's in the CIA. She's so good at this. She loves to just stalk people online in a good way and learn about them. And be like, oh, did you know that so and so is so and so's parents? Something like that. So if you don't have a website to be the number one result, then everyone else is the one whose information you're getting. You want to have a voice in the conversation. Your data is out there. Even if you're a recluse that doesn't use the internet at all, even if you choose to eschew the benefits of modern technology like the smartphone, do you have a cell phone? Well, it's still being tracked. You have basically a GPS tracker in a cell phone.
If I can give a little bit of context to this, some years ago in Georgia, I owned several different type of customer service organizations. We actually sold magazine subscriptions to doctors' offices, dentist offices. There's actually companies out there that specialize in what's called PDS service, which stands for paid during service. And, we would have to go out from time to time and get information as to, the doctor's name, who the buying agent was, because we weren't talking about a $21 magazine subscription. Back in the day, some of these professional offices, attorneys, doctors, whatever, they would buy magazine subscriptions from people like us in bulk. And sometimes these bulk subscription services could run, $1,400, $2,000, $2,500, and they were buying subscriptions in the future, or they were dollar cost averaging their subscription costs so they could get a discount, and that's where we came in. We were the discount broker. But we would go out to these list brokers. In other words, we'd buy Sporting World magazine's subscriber list of doctors and try to sell them Sports Illustrated. The point is that when we would buy these subscriber lists, we always got the name of the doctor, the purchasing agent for the office, the address, the telephone number, the emails, if they existed, because email was not that popular. This was so long ago. But we could also buy for a little bit extra money their PO orders. We could buy their credit cards associated with the practice. You would, and Tally, this was, and I'm not exaggerating, 30 years ago. And so we were able to purchase amazing amounts of information. Now, we didn't because we couldn't use it. Because, we were a legitimate company. We had our own merchant accounts. We would never jeopardize our merchant accounts because we were doing a couple $1 million a year in business. We would never jeopardize our own merchant account to scam some doctor out of $1,500 or whatever. But the point is, there's plenty of people out there that, A, would have done that, and B, would have bought it to resell it themselves. And again, that information was available to us pre-internet. So you have had people out there that have been working as data harvesters since most people within the earshot of this program have been alive.
Everyone knows about Facebook. Everyone knows about Twitter. And the ones that choose to stay off it do so, I guess it's their own choice. And there's plenty of reasons to stay off Facebook other than your information being harvested. Like there's tons of drama out there, and people just aren't grown up. Sometimes on social media, for some reason, they go back to their childhood backbiting stuff. I don't know why that is. Maybe that's their adult lives. But like you just said, it didn't matter if it was internet or not. Your information's out there. It's being circulated. And yeah, what you talk to about information brokers, people that trade in the business of to use an honest term about it, to trade in the business of cyber stalking or stalking individuals and bulk collecting their information. And you say, well, why should I care if someone knows what magazines I subscribe to? Well, there's a very good likelihood that those magazines you subscribe to correlate to your personal traits, and not just your personal traits or your buying habit, but also maybe how you vote or how you think. You know, if you drink beer over wine, you're more likely to be a Republican than a Democrat. You're more likely to be pro-life. You're more likely to be pro-gun. So these are the way that people assume things about you in the information world based on what they can learn about you. By the way, I don't drink either one, but Republicans got to get that one straight if they want to be. I don't know where I would. So the bottom line is all the information about you out there can be used to form a generalized picture of what you might do or where you worship. Actually, you know where you worship is one of the most private things about you, what you believe deeply and spiritually about God, whether you believe in the Christian God or some kind of other, false religion. The very private and personal thing about you is being traded out there like it was a horse we bet on in Kentucky. So, yeah, your information's out there whether or not you want to use Facebook, Twitter or not. And if you use something like Craigslist to sell something online, you may meet in person, but you still use Craigslist to do it online. So let's talk about selling safe and keeping information safe. One of those private things you have is your cell phone number. And you don't want to use your cell phone number on like Craigslist to make an online listing to sell. So what can you do? You can give your email address, but whenever you give your email address on Craigslist, it seems like you get all kinds of spammy emails, robot-based emails. So text messages kind of filter out the worst of the worst dumb spam robots. So what's the compromise? There's a good app I'd recommend called Burner, B-U-R-N-E-R, Burner. And you can get it on iOS or Android. And get a throwaway phone number. Whenever I sell something on Craigslist, I always get a throwaway phone number just for that listing. Or maybe for one or two listings, I'm doing multiple listings at a time. And that allows me to give out a text number to fill the text when I'm meeting them up, where I'm meeting them, and also negotiate the price and all this stuff. But they never learn my cell phone number because I don't trust my cell phone number floating out there. I literally, during this call, had to reject a robocall coming into my private cell phone. Robocalls are ridiculously bad right now, and you can use a service like Nomo Robo on your phone to identify them, to make your life less miserable, and maybe to also keep you from getting scammed. Nomo Robo is one of the better ones out there, but there's also Truecaller and other apps like that. If you do sell online, though, make sure you never deal with money transfers or checks. That's pretty much common sense. My wife told me a story one time. She was trying to sell one of her old dresses that she was never going to wear again, and she was trying to sell it for $350. Well, lo and behold, she got a check sent to her for $3,500, and then another email to follow that check saying, "Oh, I am sorry, I have written a check for more than you asked. Please, wire me the difference, and then you can cash the check for $3,500 after you wire me $3,400." So obviously don't fall for scams like that. They're pretty obvious for most people, but they can get creative. Every day I get an email from Walmart saying my package is to be picked up, but the Walmart's spelled with two L's. That's not legitimate.
Right. Right. Every once in a while, I'll get a document to the Hart of America email account telling me that I have a document that has just been faxed to me, and I need to click here to open up the very important document, which I know is just going to unleash a virus, which is going to steal everything, within that account. And I don't think a lot of people realize that it can happen. It's like even something as simple as going to the Walmart with two L's and using your cents off card they all give you, or the store we're shopping is a pleasure. Use this card to get discounts on your beer or your wine or whatever. People don't realize that as soon as you swipe that card or they put it in there, that they are tracking you. And, even in the state of Alabama, and I know other states do this as well, there are the smart driver's licenses. So a lot of stores require, if you are an Alabama resident and you pull your driver's license out, flip it over, and there's just like this big black box with all these little squiggly lines in it. And a lot of stores will ask you to, give them that information or give them the card, the driver's license, so they can scan it so you can make your beer, wine, or cigarettes purchase. If you think the federal government doesn't collect this stuff because it's going to also help, because one of the biggest sellers of personal data in the United States is the federal government. And I mean to private businesses that might want to sell you a different brand of wine or raise your insurance premiums. So you're absolutely right. It's not a matter of protecting your information. That's an absolute impossibility. And I think the single biggest thing that people need to get out of this conversation today is the fact that you are at risk. Your family is at risk. Everything you do, and frankly, it's been this way for years, but it's gotten worse with the internet, and it's got even more worser than that when you consider the voluntary aspect of the ones that are giving the information are us.
Oh, yeah. And you reminded me of a practical example that I think will really hit home. When's the last time you ordered takeout pizza from Domino's? You just call up Domino's, you say, I want a large supreme pizza, flat crust, whatever, thin crust. What do they ask for next? Your phone number. What do they already have? Your address. Domino's takes that database of addresses and phone numbers and pizza preferences, and they make money off of that. They sell that information. Everywhere you go, Walgreens with a coupon card, every time you have a coupon card for a store or any time you give a phone number to a store, it drives my wife crazy because my wife is a very, very sweet woman who just wants to always do everything that's asked of her by anyone. She has that kind of a heart. And it drives her crazy when I lie about my phone number to the stores. But then, she knows. But I tell her, honey, they're going to use that to put me on a call list or a database, and I don't want to be on there. So I give out like 555-1234. Now, don't steal that number now because that's my private number there, 555-1234. But you can't. I hate to say it, you cannot trust merchants. And honestly, it's not the guy in front of you at the cash register who does it. He doesn't probably even know what his company does that data when they type it into a computer system. But it's going to be traded, and it's going to be sent and bought and sent, and it's going to end up in a database somewhere. And if the worst thing that happens to you is more targeted advertising, that's fine. But what about when that information is used to collect, again, in aggregate, a bunch of information about you to reveal the private details of your life? For instance,
well, you're right.
Verizon,
can you hold on for one moment, Tyler? We got to take a real quick break because I want to get into the more nefarious aspects to this, but we need to pay a real quick bill or two. Can you hang around for me?
Absolutely.
Great. We're having a conversation with JT, Dolly Williams of Liberty One Tech on keeping your home and your cyber existence and personality safe wherever you may be. Program is brought to you by Liberty One Tech. Visit them at libertyoneTech.com and save 15% on Talk Text Plus when you mention Heart of America. We're going to take a real quick one, come right back on the other side. You're listening to the Heart of America Talk Radio Network, Situational Security Friday. We're coming right back at you. Heart of America and the Michael Hart Show is brought to you in part by the Unknown America Project. Unknown America, myths and little-known oddities about the greatest nation on earth, explores many of the falsehoods and fallacies and revisions in American history that impact the beliefs and the thoughts of many people in this country today. So if you'd like to learn some of the most enduring myths that have been perpetrated on the American public for the last 100-plus years in this country, go check out the book at heartofamerica.net. That's heartofamerica.net. And pick up a copy of Unknown America. It comes out to you absolutely no shipping, be autographed, and we'll even send you a copy of the United States Constitution as our way of saying thanks. So support the Unknown America Project by simply going to theunknownamerica.com, and thank you for your support. The Land Report, the magazine for the American landowner, is a proud supporter of the Michael Hart Show. Currently, they're offering an exclusive subscription price for listeners of the Michael Hart Show. So click on the subscribe button on landreport.com and enter the code HARTSHOW at checkout and receive a 1-year discount on America's #1 land magazine. You'll get a full year of the Land Report, which normally goes for $59, for only $15. That's a 75% savings off the cover price. Again, that's promo code HARTSHOW at checkout of thelandreport.com, and make sure to check out The Land Report on Facebook if you love land.
I really can't say.
Okay, you're free to go.
I've got to go away.
Understood, no means no.
This evening has been
Super appropriate.
so very nice.
But I do understand
My heart
consent.
will start to worry.
Definitely text her right
And
now.
I will be pacing the floor.
Here's the code and there is the
So really
door.
I'd better scurry.
I am going to stand over
Hey,
here.
welcome back. We're having a conversation with Holly Williams of Liberty One Tech and LibertyOneTech.com, talking about cybersecurity, ways to keep yourself safe. And one of the reasons I wanted to do this particular program on this particular day is we are post-Christmas, and a lot of young folks got brand new devices and tablets and iPhones, oh my, and they're out there just willy-nilly shopping all over the place, and it happens to all of us. As a matter of fact, before we get back to you, Talia, you know, I had a situation the other day where I was actually just looking at my Facebook page, and this cute little thing popped up. It's like one of those, you know, weird invention-y things that you just absolutely must look and see. And I clicked on it, and it was like this little erector set thing. I thought, wow, that is really cool. And it's normally $45, but today only, if you buy right now, we'll send it to you absolutely shipping free for $15. Well, I brought 3 of them, and that was a month ago, and I have yet to receive anything. And I did this literally while I am on my Facebook page, on my phone, watching TV, while petting my dog, and in the blink of an eye, I am apparently $45 later. Now, I'm going to give it another day or two. If they don't show up, then I'll call my credit card company and reverse the charges. But as you pointed out, there's that $50 limit, so don't know the credit card company, although my credit card company has been very good. But the thing is, it was cool, it was quick, it was easy, it was affordable, even, you know, more so for them since they hadn't shipped it yet apparently. But the point is that this stuff comes at us in the most innocent sense, and there's no one more innocent than, well, the kids' grandparents when it comes to being online, but our children can certainly be taken advantage of as well. And these are things that parents need to be up to speed on because our children are being assaulted also. But I don't want to shift directions of where you were going prior to the break, but I think that was worth mentioning.
No, it absolutely is, and that's one of those things where we call it crowdsourcing. You may have heard about different crowdsourcing websites. One of the things to remember is if you purchase something from, I don't know if this is where you were getting it from, but like Kickstarter, if you read the fine print of those terms, they're not obligated to give you anything. You're investing in them, and just like any investment, it comes with risk. And so that's one thing to watch out for also. You see a lot of products advertised on Kickstarter. Now, Kickstarter cracked down on this a couple of years ago because this was becoming a problem for their reputation, their brand. But you could be buying into a computer rendering of something, and the real product hasn't existed yet, and it's still not going to exist. So, but even if it wasn't Kickstarter, if it's anywhere else, like I said, you have to be wary of stuff. And I hate it, but to me that means that guys like Amazon are going to win out. And I love to support small businesses, but unless you do something like, well, in your case, even the privacy, one-time use credit card number wouldn't have really helped you because there's that shipping and handling time, and they can kind of say, well, we're not ready to send it yet and all that. So you can prevent future use of that card. But if they're just not going to send the product at all, then you do kind of have to go back to your credit card company and say, look, that product never arrived. I need to reverse the charges on this. I hate to say it, but we're living in a time where you can't trust almost anyone online. You know, you can go online, you can go to somewhere you know, but even on, if you go to Walmart.com, that's a marketplace there. It's not everything shipped and sold by Walmart. Amazon, same thing. Not everything is shipped and sold by Amazon. There are third parties involved, and you have to do your due diligence to look into who you're buying from in those marketplaces to make sure that they have good ratings, they have a reputation, that they're not a brand new seller, they've been out there for a while, they've done a couple of items, and it also means it's hard to get started selling. So you're kind of if you really just want to make sure things are good, go to a local store and buy it with cash. Other than that, though, you got to take some time to do your due diligence, to do your research, to make sure that you've taken time to learn who you're dealing with. And it's a sad point that we're there, Michael, because honestly, I think a lot of folks listening are probably just thinking, I wish it could be like the old days. But the truth is, at least today, you have digital recourse. You can get that money back through a process, through basically the insurance that the credit card companies buy themselves. But in the old days, if you got ripped off, you could be just out cash and no way to get it back. And so there are pluses and minuses. Speaking of, physical safety, I want to finish up on the Craigslist thing because I didn't finish this. I think it's important. If you are selling something on Craigslist, if you are selling something, especially of any kind of high dollar amount, meet inside a police station or somewhere that they have metal detectors, like a city hall. And if you can't go in there for whatever reason, consider don't do the sale. But if you can't do that, like it's just too far or they're closed on that day, at least go into like a Walmart or a bank or somewhere that has a lot of cameras. So if you get robbed, they'll have a camera recording of it. But I do my Craigslist selling. I go to the local police station. I go through metal detectors, and I know that the guy I'm meeting is not going to be carrying a knife or a gun at that time. I support your Second Amendment right to carry a gun, but just not in the police station where you could possibly rob me, So as long as they provide security, and they do. So I recommend that. And also just to cover your backside, have a bill of sale ready that says, I understand all sales are final, I've inspected the product and all that stuff. And that way you keep yourself from the other kind of thieves, the con men that would, take your phone that you're selling them, but then try to come back and say, hey, I didn't get what I was paying for, just so I've got a piece of paper here that said you looked at it and you understood the sale was final. If your computer is compromised or your accounts are compromised, almost all of this advice that I've given or tried to give is useless. This is where it gets. You talked about getting to the nitty, the scary stuff. What did Josh McCoy used to call it there? I miss Josh. What did he call it? The scary, the nitty gritty. I forget what he called it.
Right.
But this is where you get into keeping the cyber criminals off your computer. If you don't keep your computer safe and secure, all this stuff doesn't matter. You can have your webcam watching you in your bedroom because of a virus on your computer. You can have every credit card number you type into your phone being sent immediately to some cyber criminal. Everything you type and say in a text message or on Facebook could be being stored by some hacker trying to blackmail you. So keeping your computer safe from viruses is the most important thing you can do. And here are some signs of what it looks like to have viruses, or what we call now malware, malicious software, on your computer. If it seems to be running slow, or if when you search, you don't get Google or Bing or DuckDuckGo or whatever your good search site that you said is, but you get some kind of weird search me or something strange like that. Or if you get frequent pop-up alerts on the bottom corner of your screen saying, security alert, you have a virus on your computer, but don't worry, we got rid of it. Or your computer is potentially infected with viruses. Click here to install this software to get rid of them right now. Anything that tries to rush you, like you're talking about the emails, the scams coming in, click here to install this software, anything that tries to rush you, nothing that comes in via email is urgent. I mean, it's just not. There may be important stuff that you can get in email, but your utility bill invoice or your bank statement link, they're not going to be saying, click now to open your utility bill. No, they're very calm. So anything that tries to get you to rush past your common sense alerts, to bypass your brain and just go to the primeval, hey, let's act out of fear, those are probably something you should stay very far away from. If you have those kind of signs or symptoms, your email being hacked, your computer running slow, your searches going to a different website, you probably need to have your computer examined by a professional to determine what's really going on, because it's possible that you have a virus on there. And look, those fix-it sticks you can buy online, those are borderline, if not absolute, scams. They do not work. They will not work. Don't use them. And if your computer already has a virus on there, well, one, you probably thought you already had antivirus like Norton or McAfee to begin with, so if it didn't keep it off, what makes you think it's going to get it off? But two, installing antivirus after the fact is never a trusted way to get rid of a virus, because once a virus or a malicious piece of software is on your computer, it can take over, and it now runs the show, not the antivirus software. So whenever someone comes to me with a computer problem that looks like malware, and that's pretty common, what you do is you have
Tolly, did we lose you?
can you hear me?
Yeah, you just came back. I'm sorry.
I may have an AT&T drop out there. I apologize. I see I've got one bar. Thanks, AT&T. So any computer professional, what they'll do is they'll take your computer and they'll erase your operating system, but restore your data only. Data can't exploit you, but programs can. Your operating system can be hacked. So you need to have your computer cleaned by a technology expert, or you can run Windows Refresh on your own, and that takes care of a lot of the issues. In the security and update section of Windows, there's now a refresh Windows option. That's a good thing to run. But if you have malicious software on your computer, you could be compromised and not even know it. And by compromised, I mean really compromised. Like your webcam can be turned on remotely and people spy on you. And yes, it does happen. They call it rats. And if you Google rat webcam spying, you'll learn the kind of stuff that will keep you up at night. It can be so creepy. So don't let that happen to you. Beyond the computer, your personal computer, keep your account safe. Use a password manager, like a free one that I love. It's open source. They let the public look into the code to make sure it's truly secure. It's called Bitwarden, Bitwarden, Bitwarden. Another popular one is LastPass or 1Password, but Bitwarden I like and support because they're a little more open source and open standard. Password managers is basically like your old school password books where you'd write down passwords, and by the way, those are fine too, but they also help you create a secure password, a long, complicated password, or 4 to 5 random words that are not related, separated by a symbol. That's also secure. But that can't be related words. That can't be, the name of all your pets, because hackers can figure that out. So a password manager is absolutely essential. The nice thing about password managers is once you've saved your password in the password manager where it is secure, now logging into websites gets a lot easier because you can just click a button and it fills it in for you. Or on your phone, you can just tap your fingerprint reader or scan your face and it fills it in for you. So you don't have to worry about saving and memorizing all these different passwords. That's easier once you get it set up. But beyond having a good password, you have to use two-factor authentication. Now, most two-factor authentication that most people will deal with is a text message. That's okay. So if you set up two-factor authentication on, say, your Gmail account, the easiest way to do it, the most common way to do it, is to get a text message. But you can have your text message compromised as well. There's not a lot you can do about it because it's really Verizon or AT&T or T-Mobile that gave you up. If someone goes to Verizon, impersonates you, takes over your SIM card, they now get your text messages. So it's better than using a text message. It's better to have what they call a one-time password authenticator app. And you can get that on any app store. Google Authenticators were popular. LastPass has one. There's a program called Authy, A-U-T-H-E-Y, Authy, that lets you use one-time passwords. Beyond that, though, the best way to do it is get what we call a FIDO U2F device. A YubiKey is the most popular one out there. Get a YubiKey. Those are really cool. You stick it in your computer, press a button, and it lets you log in. And why are they called second factor? Because they have to be present in addition to your password. So the first factor is something you know, like your password. The second factor is something you have, like that text message or your phone or that YubiKey stuck in your computer. By having a two-factor authentication, by having two elements required to log in, you keep out 99% of things. It's a very good, safe way. And if you do get a service that doesn't do two-factor authentication, but that has those security questions, think of those security questions to confirm your identity or something. Think of them not as regular questions. Think of them as second passwords. I'll give you an example. Sarah Palin, when she was running for president, had her private Yahoo email hacked by a teenager who answered her security questions based on information that they found on her Wikipedia page. You know, and that hack was very embarrassing because it exposed that she was illegally using her private email account to conduct government business and setting up side deals for herself. CIA Director John Brennan, he had his personal AOL account hacked, also by a teenager who used social engineering to get Verizon and AOL to cooperate and give this teenager, who admitted to be a marijuana smoker, so he called himself a stoner, you know, to give this teenager, our CIA director at the time, his private email account. And in his private email account, he had private data of different people's contact information, social security numbers, all this stuff. David Petraeus, the General David Petraeus, who also was the CIA director for a time, you probably remember, you know, he got prosecuted for this. He had his clearance compromised after after his Gmail account was hacked. They discovered that he was having an illicit affair because someone got into his Gmail account. In other words, online email is not secure. Your online accounts, but especially if you set up yourself. So if all this stuff about two-factor authentication and the password manager sounds difficult, it's worth having an expert. I'm willing to do it, like Liberty One Tech will do it. But, you know, if I'm not local to your area, find someone that you trust, that you know that is, and have them set up your email accounts so they can't be compromised by teenagers just going out and getting public information. Have someone help you through this very critical part of your online security profile of getting your computer in a good known state. Clean your computer, wipe off all the viruses, wipe off all the malware, make sure your webcam's not being turned on while you're in your bedroom or whenever, and make sure that your data and your privacy of your email account are intact. And again, if that information sounds complicated, and it can be, Liberty One Tech can help you. LibertyOneTech.com. Contact me, 256-333-2010, 256-333-2010. But if I'm not local to your area, get someone that can do it. It's that important. These are common computer security tactics that you can use to keep your data safe on your computer because, again, everything we talked about in the first half hour of the show, Michael, your data being compromised, your privacy of your credit card number being compromised, keeping your information safe from information brokers, all that stuff. If a hacker or a criminal or a con man has access, if you know that call from Microsoft saying that they need access into your computer, now type into the notepad the credit card. If your computer is compromised, if your device is compromised, nothing else matters because that's where all the stuff lies and that's where all the heart of it goes. So keep your computer and your devices free from viruses and keep your email, which is where everything kind of ends up, safe and protected with good, strong passwords. And honestly, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, and honestly, this is one of those things that they should be teaching it in school. It's so important. This is a fundamental of life today.
That's the perfect segue for what I want to get into in the time that we have left is, you know, we're coming off of Christmas. We know there's a lot of new phones out there and devices. Perhaps there's a lot of moms and dads and grandparents that just really aren't up to speed with some of the things that perhaps they need to know. You know, it's gotten to where, you know, back in the day, it was kind of, you know, trite to say, well, you know, I won't give my kid a phone till they're 12, 13, 14 years old. Then it'll be a flip phone. But now you've got 6 and 7, 8-year-olds with smartphones and Androids, and they've got their own social media presence, et cetera. What would you like for parents to know to keep their young people safe online? Because I know Too many parents out there, we've talked about this before, many times actually. Well, my kid wouldn't do that, or my kid's not engaged in that, but they are. At the end of the day, whatever's out there, they're likely falling victims to peer pressure as well. So I don't want to snoop, I don't want to spy, but I do kind of like going all Reagan and saying, trust but verify. What do parents need to know about the technology that is in their kids' possession, particularly post-Christmas?
Do you remember how I started this conversation of be terrified? You should be terrified. No, actually, you should be informed. And obviously, we're wrapping up today's show. But as you know, and if
you don't have to do it quick. We can go past the hour if we need to.
Well, no, I was just saying, if you're setting this up, this is a brilliant, brilliant self-plug option. We talked about keeping kids safe online and in school about 2 weeks ago on this very podcast. So if someone's listening, wants to go to SITSEC, SITSEC.info, or just go to heartofamerica.net and download the SITSEC podcast. About, I think it was 2 weeks ago, you had a gentleman with a protective device for kids in schools that was like a bulletproof backpack type thing.
Safety book.
But then,
the safety book, people.
The safety book, yes. And then after that, we talked about keeping kids safe online. So if you go listen to that part of that show, that has a ton of information. If you go to my website, libertyoneTech.com, I have a free PDF you can click on to read about keeping kids safe online. It is an overview for parents. I have a service where I can go into your homes and talk, cybersecurity. If you want to do it when your kid's not home, if you really are concerned, like you're losing your kid to a dangerous digital underworld, if you want to talk without their knowledge, I totally understand that. I've helped parents do that in the past. I helped one mother who had basically an adult child. He was he had a low IQ, and he was doing things that could land him in jail. So we went and talked about how to keep him safe from hurting himself or from hurting others online. And so Liberty One Tech does that as well. The summary of it is this. For parents, if you're a good parent, and those are harder and harder to find these days, but if you're a good parent, you know who your kid's hanging out with, who their friends are in person. You absolutely should know who they're hanging out with online as well. Oh, you're on Instagram? Let me see your Instagram friends. How many followers do you have? Wow, 3,000 followers. Do you know all of them? Tell me about this guy here. Oh, this one's in your message history. Tell me about their messages. Tell me about that. Oh, are you on Kick? Well, we're going to delete that app, and we're going to ground you for 3 years. No, I'm kidding, but there's not a lot of good things that happen on Kick. So you know who your child is talking to online, who is talking to your child, and like any good parent would do with their friends, kind of scrutinize their friendships, because even if you have, quote, a good child that's not going to do a lot of harm, they're just kind of, maybe an exploration phase of their life, that's fine, that's normal. But, man, get to know who they're talking to, because they could be talking to some people that have nefarious intentions, and their kid might not even realize it. So go through their friends list and just ask, well, who is this person? Go to their message history and ask who that is. And know this, parents, sadly, your kids can hide stuff on your phone better than you can find. So if you want to go and spy on them, trust but verify, that's fine. But know this, one, it's more important to establish a relationship of openness so that your daughter can come to you when the weird guy talks to her in a weird way, that your daughter won't be embarrassed, so that you can have a relationship where they can openly speak to you about this thing that made them feel uncomfortable. It's more important you have that kind of relationship, because if you're spying on them, and again, good parents will try to spy on their kids. If your kids are determined to hide it from you, they're going to win. They're going to be able to keep it from you. They know technology better. They live it. They breathe it. They know it. And there are apps that are designed to hide it. But even if you know about one app, there's probably 10 more you don't know about. So know that you always want to be able to have that open dialogue relationship with your son or daughter, so that the most important thing is, and I'll say this because I didn't explicitly say this and I kind of regretted it. If someone does not know Christ and doesn't have a heart to seek after and desire God, if they have a heart that desires evil instead of the affection of God, then they're going to venture off and do all kinds of things, and God's going to allow them to have their life ruined by their desire for evil. So it really does come down to good parenting is Christian parenting. Have your kid be born again, come to know the Lord, and desire to seek and to serve Him, and that will fix a lot of your problems. Now, just like Paul had some thorns in the flesh, your child's still going to have some issues. But the most important thing a parent can do, beyond all the practical advice, is to raise your kid right by having them come to know Christ and seek the desire to honor God instead of sin against Him. Man, I got religious on that, but I thought it was important to say.
Well, I will say this, Holly. It's easier to know the Lord than to know the technology, because you're right. Yeah. It's absolutely, it's overwhelming, and I'm immersed in it, and I don't understand, half the conversations. I mean, in full disclosure, you are part of this program. You are part of Heart of America. You are part of the Unknown America project that we're doing here. And, we're trying to grow this. That's even why we put the Patreon page up, is if somebody wants to support the program financially and help us spread the word and educate people. We wanted them to be on a site that was reputable and that they were comfortable with and that they had recourse on. And so we try to live out what we're talking about on the air. But, people need to realize that this is something that you and I have talked about many times off the air. We're very concerned about it. It is something that people need to realize, that the depths of the technology, because as I get further and further and further into this, you and I have had conversations where I'm like, what are you saying to me? And I've had to surrender control of some of my online accounts to you to do things I don't understand, and I understand a huge chunk of it. And I really want to reiterate, and although this sounds promotional, I don't mean for it to, that the things that as the director of Liberty One Tech are things that I think a lot of people aren't even aware of that are out there, and your level of knowledge scares me. And I don't mean frightens me, in that sense, but I can only imagine that, these people out there that are teams and working in teams, and they sometimes do for the purposes of, ill-gotten gains and doing evil. And knowing what you know and what they must know, people should be very, very, very concerned about this, because for all of the conveniences that the internet offers us, for all of the upside, the downside is equal. And, it's funny in business, if the risk is the same as the gain, then the risk is either too high or the gain too low. And what I mean by that is, if you have an 80% chance of success in any business venture and a 20% chance of loss, that's a risk worth taking. In the world of the internet, it almost flips, where the upside of ordering online and having things delivered to your door and having Walmart, allow you to shop your groceries online and bring them out to the curb, all those things, the conveniences and even the savings, for that matter, pale in comparison to the potential threat if people don't take the threat serious.
And you just reminded me that I teased something up front never to get to, and I appreciate the kind words, by the way. I do. I was very fortunate. My dad sold a Nolan Ryan rookie baseball card when I was 8 years old to buy me my very first computer, a 286 SX processor with a massive 20 megabytes, that's megabytes, not gigabytes, megabyte hard drive, and one megabyte of RAM, not gigabyte, but megabyte. So, for all the kids listening, they can't imagine that, because why? Their phones have 1,000 or maybe even 1,000,000 times the processing power. My point is this, though. I was fortunate to grow up in the computer world with a science-minded kind of exploratory brain that wanted to learn it. And, you become an expert at something when you've done 10,000 hours. I've got well over 10,000 hours of experience breaking computers and fixing them, and that's how I got to know what I know now. That said, so now I reap the benefits of having grown up and been a technologically curious young boy that programmed his first game when he was in third grade. And I have these smart devices all throughout my house potentially spying on me, right? I've got the Amazon Echoes, the Google Homes. I can, at nighttime when I go to bed, I can say, turn off the lights, and all of a sudden all the lights in the house go off. It's really cool and fun. Should you be concerned if you're not a geek? The truth is, even as a tech expert, as someone that knows this and is happy to help others set up their smart home, I'm fully aware that if I'm having a very private conversation, the kinds that does not need to leak out, we'll just make up, a private discussion about our finances that's going to involve account numbers. I'll walk over to the device and hit the mute button. Make sure that it doesn't accidentally trigger and activate, because everything you say to these Amazon Echoes or Google Homes will go out to someone in the computer system and may not be heard by a person, but it could be. And I have a friend that does this. He transcripts and transcribes. Whenever Amazon Echo hears you and it goes, I'm sorry, I didn't understand that, it's going to go to a human for transcription. So if you're going to have a very private conversation, either unplug or hit the mute button on these devices. Facebook is selling this portal and making a big deal out of it. Facebook is not known for keeping your data safe and secure. They're known for having accidents that let your data out there. So I don't recommend to my family to buy a Facebook portal. I keep sticky notes covering up all of my webcams on my computer. You can't cover up practically the webcam on your phone because every phone has at least one webcam on it, maybe two, one on the front, one on the back. So always be aware that you're living in this technological age, and even a security expert like myself still has to exercise a certain degree of paranoia to keep safe. And it does like paranoia sometimes. And honestly, if you walk into my office and saw all the sticky notes covering up the cameras on the computers, you'd think I'm a nutso. And maybe so. But I also know how easy it is for a virus to get on your computer, to turn on your webcam, and to spy on you in the privacy of your own home. And again, I've dealt with fixing computers that had just that kind of virus on there. And you really don't want to have that kind of virus hanging around. They call them rats. Go Google rat webcam spying, R-A-T webcam spying. It'll creep you out. It'll keep you up at night. If you don't do Liberty One Tech, get an expert. Get someone to look at your computer to keep your computer safe. And, yeah, if you're going to have a private conversation in your home, don't forget to, keep away from the smart devices, because they, too, could be listening in on your checking account number or all your private information that you're sharing. What a word, Michael. It's really fun for us tech geeks, but also kind of scary if you're not a tech geek or a nerd sometimes. I hope people have been informed.
Well, I'm sure they have, Tolly, and I appreciate you popping by today. Appreciate all the things that you have done for us. Tell the listeners how they can find more about you or how they can contact you.
You know what? If they've listened to the entire broadcast at this point, let me just give you my direct number. This likes to go to my cell phone. It's a work cell phone number, but 256-333-2010. For having listened to the entire show, you deserve that. 256-333-2010. But also you can go to liberty1tech.com. Liberty, the number 1, TECH.com, and you can contact me there. My favorite service to offer, and I mentioned, I do web design. I don't even talk about it on the radio because, frankly, I figure that's a business services, and I figure people are listening for their own personal self. I do web design. I do consulting for businesses, installing networks, and all this other stuff. Those are not fun, but I love to do them. I mean, they're not fun to talk about. My favorite service to talk about is this Text Talk Plus service, where basically you have questions, you get answers within one business day. So if you sign up for Text Talk Plus, $20 a month, you ask a question to me, I get back to you within one business day, real quick help, and it's like having a geek or a nerd on call all the time, and I enjoy doing that because it provides real help to real people, and that's what I really try to do, is provide real technology help to real people.
Very good. Well, you certainly have my recommendation, as well as you've done amazing things with the Heart of America Talk Radio Network. Holly, thank you so very much, and we'll definitely be talking again sometime next week or so.
Thank you, Michael. Happy New Year's Eve to you.
There you go. Happy New Year to you too, Tolly. Y'all check him out. It's Liberty One, the number 1 tech.com. That's going to be it for us. I do want to remind you before we get away, though, that the book Unknown America, the Unknown America Project, over at theunknownamerica.com. Get a copy of it today, and you'll get it absolutely shipping and handling free. We'll autograph for you, and we'll also send you a copy of the United States Constitution. If you would like to keep us on the air and support the information, the live broadcast, the Michael Hart Show, the Situational Security Edition, which is gaining a lot of traction, and, of course, our what I consider to be signature program, The Unknown America, every single Wednesday, your financial support goes a long way. I know that $6 a month doesn't seem like a lot, but you can cancel that at any time as well. Just go over to heartofamerica.net, click on the orange Patreon button. Every little bit helps. We'd like to buy new equipment and video equipment and really grow this thing because we have a lot of opportunities that are coming our way that we're just not really in a position to take advantage of. Then that's where you guys come in. So if you're enjoying the Michael Hart Show and the accompanying podcast, consider supporting us on Patreon. We set that account up so that you would feel safe and secure, and they get some information from you. And, again, you can cancel that at any time. When you become a $6.95 a month subscriber or patron in this particular case, just to show our gratitude, we'll send you a copy of Unknown America absolutely free of charge, and then offer you deep discounts on future editions. The child's version, which is Unknown America for Kids. How original of me, right? Unknown America for Kids is going to be coming out hopefully in the next 14 to 30 days, and there'll also be Unknown America 2, and that's just going to be Unknown America TOO, so that'll be the second edition and a third that we're working on as well. Just got a lot of things going on that's taking a lot of time, and so we've been a little bit behind our stated goals on getting these new publications out, a lot of requests for them, and you guys have supported us in that effort, which is why we're calling it the Unknown America Project these days, because what started out as my desire to write one book has grown into something significantly more than it was intended to be, and that is because of you guys. But again, please go check out heartofamerica.net. Support us on Patreon. Pick up a copy of the book if you just want to. There's a bulk order tab there for you at The Unknown America. You can get copies of the book. Absolutely no shipping and handling, as cheap as $12 if you buy 5 or more of them. We do have them in stock. They ship out within 24 hours, and we would appreciate the support in any way that looks. And we'd also appreciate, as you are enjoying these broadcasts, if you would consider sharing them. Sharing them goes a long way to spreading the Christian conservative message of this program, whether you share it on Facebook or Twitter, Spotify, iTunes, the Google Store, wherever. I mean, this thing is absolutely everywhere. The video component on the actual YouTube channel will be up. The YouTube channel is, by the way, hot. You can subscribe to that over there. All the information you need to support the program and listen in is over at Hart, H-A-R-T, heartofamerica.net. That's it for us. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful weekend, and we will be back with you live on Monday, which, of course, is New Year's Eve. We will take New Year's Day off so that we can enjoy all the great football and bowl games that are scheduled, if that is your thing. Other than that, have a wonderful weekend. You've been listening to the Heart of America Talk Radio Network, the Situational Security Program, right here on Heart of America. We'll be back with you Monday at 8 a.m. Central Time. Bye-bye now.